What's going on there, guys? Missy Mimi's here jumping in. It is Sunday, June 27th, 2021 is the date. About 2:32 p.m. West Coast time. Taking a look here, 4.2 just struck off the coast of Jamaica, 33 kilometers below the surface. Following these swarms outside of Puerto Rico, definitely some buildup over here in pressure. Let's see here. Let's see. Yeah, a good swarm has been going on to the about to the southwest of the Puerto Rico area here. A lot of 2s and 3s in there. Largest being that 3.6 that struck at 8:18 this morning, 11 kilometers below the surface. Quite a bit of movement out here near the Puerto Rico area, and then now, like I said, that 4.2 that just struck not too long ago. So be on guard if you're in this area. For sure, any more movement at all larger than a 4.2, we will definitely jump back in and check that out. Let's see, South America still getting in on the action. 4.4 outside of in Chile. 135.4 kilometers below the surface, and then yesterday they had that also deep movement, 4.2 in Bolivia. Near Bolivia. So it's kind of in the same area, but as you can see, this one's just over the border in Chile. Also 242.2 kilometers below the surface. So that movement along here is very deep. Very deep. So keeping an eye on this area as well. Outside of Mexico, let's see here. Yeah, closest region is Guadalajara. A 4.3 at 4:20 this morning. Let's see here. And then there was another 4.3 last night. I remember when that one did come in, but still within the same area. So, a lot of interesting movement going on. It's been rather quiet, but it seems to be picking up along this area for sure. Let's see, we'll jump onto the West Coast shortly. Got some movement over here. 4.7 just struck outside of Indonesia, following yesterday's 4.4, 10 kilometers below the surface. This one, very deep movement, 121.9 kilometers below the surface here in the Banda Sea. So interesting movement going on. A lot of deep movement lately on the western part of the Pacific Plate. Pressure buildup nonetheless. Japan has been very, very quiet, but they did last night. After the Earthmaster did his update stating how quiet it was. They seen a 4.6 outside of just to the north of Japan and kind of outside this area, which would be considered Russia. 62.1 kilometers below the surface, but that is it. And then other than that, Aleutian Islands getting in on some action here. 4.0, excuse me, if I can spit it out. 10 kilometers below the surface along the Aleutian Islands here. But and then Alaska seeing typical earthquake movement. This is just everyday typical movement. Bunch of microquakes and some 3s, but 3.1. Other than that, though, nothing to be concerned with. A 5.4 hit struck outside of the Philippines today. 58.4 kilometers below the surface here. So it's a pretty good size. It's not super big, and it's not super deep. This would still be considered kind of shallow, not super shallow, but not deep. So it's kind of in between there, along the Philippine Sea there. So far, what looks like the largest movement within this region today. So let's see here. There was a few quakes, a 4.0 this morning at 2. Or is this? Let's see. No, that's 2 p.m. So that was recent. So 2 p.m. in Afghanistan, 99.2 kilometers. It's kind of deep. And then 4.3 in central Iran at 7 this morning, 10 kilometers below the surface. South Africa in Namibia, getting in on some too. 4.6, 10 kilometers below the surface. Looks like to the west of Johannesburg, near Carisburg. 4.5 this morning at 9, also in the North Mid-Atlantic Ridge, 10 kilometers below the surface. Australia, 4.5, 13.8 kilometers. That was yesterday. So, but interesting movement in this region here, just outside of Perth. But it's so central. It's so random, like right there. I don't see movement here very often when I'm doing my updates. Fiji in the Kermadec Island region getting in also on some movement. Yes, there was a 4.3, very, very, very deep movement. 628.6 kilometers below the surface at 6 this morning. And then followed by a 5.8, a little more south into the Kermadec Trench, 512.3 kilometers below the surface. And then yesterday they seen that 4.6. And then also yesterday they were getting some 5.0 movement, shallow movement, but New Zealand still pretty quiet, following some movement that happened near Christchurch I think it was like a week or so ago. But other than that, pretty quiet along here. Keeping an eye on the deep movement. It's no stranger in this area, but every time we see some rather deep movement here, and then some 5.0 activity here, it's usually sometimes followed by some 6s. So we will be keeping an eye on this area as well. Like I said, Japan's still super quiet. So if you are in the Japan region, stay on guard. Let's see, Hawaii, still seeing some movement, microquake activity along the south flank of Pahala. And now some movement up here near the Kilauea area. Let's see here. I like to sometimes use the satellite so you can see what's going on, see the localized area. This is within what looks like the caldera region, or the summit of Kilauea. It was a microquake, and then another microquake to its south along the Kauai fault system. I'm pretty sure I just butchered that, but oh goodness. But other than that, and then some 3.0 movement to the south here below the Fern Forest, Hawaii, off into the ocean, 14.8 kilometers. But other than that, you guys, West Coast. West Coast seems to be picking up in some movement for sure. Compared to yesterday, movement was fairly quiet. Starting to see a little bit of a increase. I think this 4.8 struck. Another 4.8. 11:57 this morning, following that 4.8. Sorry, 2.8. Oh my gosh, I don't know why I was thinking 4. I think because I saw the 4 here, and then just my mind kind of just went woo. 2.8. Excuse me. Following that 2.9 yesterday, at the southern end of the Cascadia here. Then another 2.3. So the increase, there was an increase in the tremor last night. I believe it was 147 epicenters, if I remember correctly, compared to I think it increased quite a bit over the past week or so. It was almost down to like 7 epicenters, and so on and so forth. So it's increasing for sure. Tremor, we'll check the tremor tonight, and if there's anything of significance, we can always, or any larger movement, we can add that in later, as it won't update until after about 6 p.m. Geysers still getting some movement. It's typical day movement. Little microquake. This was yesterday on below Lake Tahoe, but activity there dying off again. Let's see. Activity dwindling here in Mena, California, or California, Nevada. Man, I am just having a day, aren't I? Near Tonopah, Nevada. But anyways, let me see if I can get this going here. Get my mind set where it's supposed to be. Oh goodness, it's Sunday. Woo! But yeah, activity out there in Nevada kind of dwindling. While there is a little bit of a pickup in activity out here near Mammoth Lakes. Let's see here. Yeah, all this activity is from today. Out here near, just below Mammoth Lakes, near Crowley Lake. Just to the, it's not too far from, I believe, Long Valley supervolcanoes within this region. So some increase in movement out here, microquake activity. Let's see, increase in what looks like some movement over here, also along the Hayward Fault Zone. And Calaveras Fault Zone. My little one might be gonna yell at me. So hold on, Missy. Can you let me finish? Maybe. She is a squeaker, this one, let me tell you. But yeah, some increase in some microquake activity out here on the Calaveras Fault Zone. So we will be keeping an eye on this area, as well as some, let's see, this is from yesterday, microquake activity along the San Andreas Fault. See if I can wrap this up, you guys. Some more movement here. Rebecca, some more movement around here in the Salton Sea region. Seems to be 4 new microquakes within this region. We'll be keeping an eye on that, with the largest being yesterday a 2.9, it looks like. Yeah. So some movement here near Anza, California. More microquake activity. So picking up just a little bit here in the on the Southern California region, but we will keep an eye on that, and also some increased movement again within the Ridgecrest area, and to the north near Olancha. So some microquake activity going on out here as well. Just a lot of movement, you guys. West Coast is picking up, obviously, because we're going to continue to be up and down on target until we see some increased movement, larger movement out here in the Japan region, as they play like a teeter-totter game of it's a balancing game, like scales, if you will. When we see zero movement here, we see more movement here, and then when a large quake or increase in activity picks up out here, it starts to put some relief on the West Coast. There actually was an article years ago after that 9.1 and 9.2 in 2011 that struck here, that was a very devastating to the Japan region with that tsunami. There was an article put out, I believe, back then about how that quake may have relieved the West Coast from the big one. So if we can ever dig that article up, we can always delve into that. Otherwise, you guys, see central United States getting in on some earthquake activity. I believe it was yesterday. Oklahoma seeing some 2.0 activity. And then all the way over here into Georgia, 2.3. And a microquake in Maryland. Very interesting. It just goes to show that how dynamic plate tectonics can be, and where certain areas move, where pressure can transfer, things like that. So Seattle, this movement was from yesterday. Let's see here. Mount Rainier getting some microquake activity. Like I said, I like to use, I think she might have, I'm not going to jinx it, but I think she might have went to sleep. Yeah, along the summit here, Mount Rainier getting in on some microquake activity. Just a couple of them, but we will keep an eye on that. Let's see here. And then another little microquake out here near what looks like Rife Lake in Washington. And then a 2.1 outside of Sunny Slope, Washington, 8.2 kilometers below the surface. Okay, let's see. Montana getting some microquake activity as well. Largest being a 2. Otherwise, you guys, not a whole lot. It's other than the West Coast picking back up in activity, and then we're seeing some increase in a little bit larger activity out here in the Caribbean Sea outside of Jamaica. We will be keeping an eye on this region for sure. If you live in any of these areas, just like I said, be on guard. Anything larger happens today at all. Let's see. But yes, anything larger happens. Another that 4.7 out there in Indonesia, deep movement. Let's see. Only that's a newer one, looks like. Yeah, so anyway, guys, have a safe day. Stay safe out there. Have a good rest of your weekend. And the live stream will be back up shortly. Earthmaster, it had gone down, but he was doing some maintenance on a few things on the computer and the internet and so on and so forth. And it will be back up very soon. Otherwise, you guys, stay safe out there. Have a good day, good night, good evening. For 4th of July weekend next weekend. Woohoo! It's gonna be a scorcher out here for us here in the northern Sacramento Valley. Oregon and Washington also, we're all under a major heat, and it's absolutely terrible. But if you have a way to cool off, then do so. Otherwise, I'm staying in the house in air conditioning. That is for dang sure, because we're getting some humidity as well up here in the valley. Stay safe out there, you guys. Have a good weekend, good day, good night. Anything else happens, we will be right back on. So you guys have a wonderful day, and chat with you guys later. Peace out.